You are now listening to the Paul McGUIRE Report. This is Paul McGUIRE. On today's program, we're going to open up the subject of how do you condition the masses to all believe basically the exact same thing, or how do you condition the masses to essentially go along with the same program? Because when you look at the results of this past election, what you see is a good number of people in a healthy manner re-examine their beliefs, re-question their beliefs, alter their beliefs, and all of that is a good thing because it suggests that there is a neuroplasticity in the mind. Neuroplasticity coming from plastic, not superficial, but a plastic, malleable, shapeable biological components of the brain, which they can be bent and they're malleable. You can move them. They're not like a giant piece of ice that if you break it, it shatters into 1,000 pieces. They're like units that are combined in a bendable, malleable form. Now, when a person's brain is malleable, they are considered by neuropsychiatrists as highly intelligent because the premise is that the intelligent brain is a growing brain. It's an evolving brain, and it's a brain that is constantly, either through artificial intelligence or some other technology, it's constantly growing and shaping and taking on more powerful, more life-giving forms. And that's very important to understand that. The brain's ability to be malleable, which is kind of like a bad translation would be the brain's ability to be squeezable, like the stupid commercial, don't squeeze the Charmin. Well, the idea is that if you squeeze someone's brain, I'm not talking about under the skull, I'm talking about exterior, outside of the skull, there should be a certain percentage of malleability. Now, that malleability is supposed to come from certain biological, nutritional, herbal ingredients that when your brain and your muscles are filled with a particular set of ingredients that make the brain adjustable, bendable, shapeable, that a person would be more intelligent. Now, the other part of this theory is that when a person's brain is malleable, shapeable, bendable, you can shape it in any particular shape or manner that you choose. So intelligence and having a malleable brain go hand in hand. So then what are other biological agents, biological foods that enhance a person's brain and causes a person's brain to become malleable, shapeable, bendable, et cetera, et cetera? Well, most of you know that you have certain oils in the body that are good for you, like certain organic oils. They have to be organic because if they're not organic, essentially what you're eating is a petroleum byproduct. You may think, hey, this is wonderful salad dressing. Well, whoop-de-doo. Your wonderful salad dressing is in actuality composed of the same substance as gasoline or oil in your car. So the only problem with eating oil from your car, there's many there's many health problems to eating oil from your car. But the primary one is that when you take food, whether it's you're mixing it with garlic and spaghetti or whatever, if you're eating food which comes from the same kind of oil in your car, the problem with that kind of oil when you eat it is that it does not degrade by the human body. The human body does not degrade it. The human body does not dissolve it. The human body does not cause it to disintegrate, and nor does it cause it to be shaped into an absorbable shape. So this is very serious because advertisers, academic institutions, think tanks, etc., have all rallied around. Well, what they did is they saw that the public was becoming aware of the fact that it's important to eat malleable food and that it's very important for your body and brain to absorb certain healthy natural oils like extra virgin olive oil that's not rotten. By not rotting, that means that it's still see-through, transparent gold in color. It's not brown in color. That means it's still fresh. So if you drank, which is not easy to do, but if you drank a certain percentage of that oil, that virgin olive oil, you drank a certain percentage of it per day, that would supply you with probably most of your body's needs for creating malleable oil that will be absorbed by the body. And this is very important that your body produces oils that are absorbed by the body. Now, counterfeit oils like motor oil and all the industrial oils will either kill you relatively quickly, or the industrial oils will they're not biodegradable. They're not absorbed by your body. They will ultimately be absorbed by your body as a poison and kill you. So I mean, this is small stuff, but this is how you save your life or your children's life, or this is how you kill somebody. Knowledge is power. Also, they've done all these tests, and that the more natural oils that your body has in it, the more likely you are to be intelligent, think clearly, not get brain cancer, have a healthy brain, have a brain that has plenty of organic oils in it is a brain that can operate at the highest level of proficiency. Brains that are attempting to operate at the highest levels of proficiency but don't have enough essential biological oils, they don't work. They're not malleable. They can't pass blood through the bloodstream. And there's many other, your skin, whether it's malleable and soft, etc., your heart tissue, your brain, all of these huge sectors of the body require the production of large amounts of organic oils by your body. And the only way you can get this level of organic oils from the environment around you is to eat a ton of food which contains biodegradable oils. And if you do that, you will enhance and increase your longevity. If you do that, you'll be smarter and think quicker. If you do that, you'll lower your blood pressure in many cases. If you do that, you will reap a whole bunch of health benefits. Now, again, there are all kinds of other counterfeit oils that are derived from oil or petroleum from a car. These will ultimately kill you, these oils. There's other oils. There's all these other oils. When you go in the section of the supermarket where, you're buying stuff to make salads, okay? And if you look at the name or the label on most of the salad making oils, or if you want to make chocolate cookies and you want to put oil in it or whatever, notice that there's only a small percentage of oils that they're selling that are natural, good for you, biodegradable. The rest of the oils that they're selling to you are poisonous, destructive, artery clogging, artery blocking types of oils that are not natural and they're not biodegradable. So the name of the game is you want to only buy or purchase, and you only want to consume oils that are biodegradable, or oils that can be absorbed by your human body. And this is a critical thing. Okay, so when you absorb a lot of these healthy oils, your brain will be more malleable. It won't be like a rock hard object. It'll be more of a living object, bendable, squeezable, because it's malleable. It can be shaped. A malleable brain is a healthy brain. A brain that stagnates in terms of oxygenation, a brain that stagnates in terms of oxygenating and blood flow all into the human body, and a brain that is malleable because the body is absorbing the healthy substances it needs to be bendable and shapeable. These are all examples of the kinds of environments that produce a healthy brain. And it's important that we step up our game. It's important that we, you don't have to be an expert in everything, but you need to regularly accumulate an assortment of knowledge and facts and truly scientific truths, not pseudo truths. You need to regularly uh, absorb that data into your life. Why? Knowledge is power. The difference between you living a long time and you living a very short period of time may have everything to do with whether or not you're oxygenating your body through exercise, whether you're eating a variety of healthy oils, which makes your brain malleable. These are critical things to do. So, we are in the middle of. On one hand, we're in the middle of big pharma, big food that is crashing. It's no longer malleable. It's become corrupt. It's become completely and almost pervertedly obsessed with greed, power, monetary power. And because of its unhealthy obsession, it's destroying and killing millions and millions of people. That's the state of affairs with our big pharma and many other science and technological and medical fields. Now, the other thing is that simultaneously to the corruption, to the disintegration of big pharma and big medicine and these giant companies, concurrently with their destruction, you see what almost looks like the spontaneous destruction of the globalist food conglomerates, the globalist energy, the globalist science and technology, the globalist nutritional knowledge. And you'll see on one hand or one pathway, you'll see the accumulation of legitimate, very important knowledge that in order for you to have a good quality of life, you need to know at least the basic minimal facts regarding having a healthy diet and a healthy lifestyle. And the reason that is a make or break deal for you is that we all are, whether we want to admit it or not, we all are all competing in the sports stadiums of life, if you will. We're all in a heavy competition. Now, when we're in this competition, and we are, the result is that to the degree that our bodies and minds and nervous systems and energy levels and everything else, to the degree that all of these systems in our body and brain and soul are operating at the top of their game and operating efficiently, to whatever degree that's happening is to whatever degree you are on an experiential level experiencing a high degree of vibrant health, the disappearance of severe pain from various diseases, the erosion or blockage of all these so-called autoimmune diseases, in which the truth is most of them are the result of biological warfare experiments by the Nazis, basically. The Nazis had a very aggressive biological warfare program, and the Nazi biological warfare scientists actually spread the germs, the viruses, and the bacteria of their biological warfare programs all over America and all over the world, but they always disguised it as something other than what it really was. And so you take an island off of the coast of Boston in the United States. It's called, I believe, Lime Island. Lime Island is not a large island, but going back to the 1930s, Lime Island, the American government secretly imported a whole lot of Nazi rocket scientists, Nazi biological warfare scientists, Nazi chemical scientists, and other Nazi scientists. The American government smuggled them all into America under a top secret classified operation known as Operation Paperclip, where they illegally imported about 150 Nazi scientists, genetic scientists, mind control, rocketry, et cetera, et cetera. And many of these Nazis very quickly were assigned to be the very heads of the military research laboratories for the military. The head guys who were in charge of developing, formerly for Adolf Hitler, but now developing for the American military, a vast assortment of biological weapons, biological viruses, bacteriological warfare, and an entire spectrum of highly dangerous biological warfare agents. Now, this was done in secret laboratories all over the world, South America and the United States. But a considerable amount of these biological warfare programs were actually being developed on a small island not that far off the coast of Boston. So just a short sea vessel journey from Boston into the Atlantic Ocean to a small island called Lime Island. And there, I believe it was a Nazi biological warfare scientist, was hired by the US government to mass produce experimental biological warfare agents. So what happened was one of the primary ways of spreading intentionally these biological warfare agents is to spread them through the air by spreading them through mosquitoes and other insects. So thousands, if not tens of thousands of insects flew into the air and flew across the ocean to Lime Island, or they escaped Lime Island and they flew to Boston, where they bit people and infected people. They infected people with an entire domain, an entire range of biological warfare weapons. And then the people spread it from the people and spread it to their families. And so for the past 40 or 50 years, originating with military activity overseas, we have had an ongoing epidemic of what they call autoimmune diseases, things like Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease, and on and on and on and on. So many of the diseases you have and people you know have, if they really get them checked out, are the origination of what was produced in the Nazi scientist laboratories that were secretly hidden on Plum Island. And there's a genetic correlation, there's a DNA correlation between these various autoimmune diseases and what was breaking out in terms of a plague on all the insects that would fly to Lyme, Connecticut from the island and spread among the people. And the people didn't even know what they had. So for years, people were catching Lyme disease, which has all kinds of different symptoms. And so the Lyme disease, which had no name, was breaking out all over Boston and spreading slowly across the country into the more mountainous areas. And among the various symptoms of Lyme disease are things like chronic fatigue syndrome, nausea, fever, sweats, night sweats and night chills, um, weakness, the feeling of having the flu, get rid of the flu, catching the flu again. Um, and then when you compare the Lyme disease with all the other autoimmune diseases, it's amazing how all these different diseases have a similarity of symptoms. So the doctors, men would be coming into the doctor's office, women to the doctor's office, telling them the symptoms. The doctors didn't know what to do. If they were lucky, after they begged and pleaded and got down on their hands and knees and begged the doctors for mercy, because the doctors didn't believe that what they had was real. Can you imagine that nonsense? All these people suffering and suffering and suffering as the decades go by, and the only reason they're suffering is because their doctor doesn't believe that the disease they have, which is really a biological warfare disease, their doctors don't believe it's real. And so they prescribe nothing, and they just chalk it up to a psychological mental problem, and the people suffer. So this was going on for decades. And then finally, they admitted it was a disease, Lyme disease, but they thought it came from the animals in the forest. Well, it didn't come from the animals in the forest. Lyme disease apparently comes from a man-made biological warfare breeding experiment where you breed together different, well, it's a virus that masquerades itself like a bacteria and vice versa. So you never really get rid of it. Now, supposedly there are cures. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to comment on it. But supposedly there are cures. And other people just have to live with it. And it's a big negative. But you see, since they were all being made and manufactured, or since all this biological warfare was being made and manufactured at the same island in the same laboratories, it's highly possible that all these autoimmune diseases, no matter what their symptoms are the product of interspecies breeding between Lyme disease and other genetic and other biochemical or germ, virus, or whatever um, agents. And so what you have in America right now is an epidemic that's been an unspoken, unacknowledged epidemic that's been going on for at least 40 years. Because Operation Paperclip began in 1948 when the Nazi biological warfare scientists came here. But it was also in 1948 that Lyme disease began to very slowly and secretively spread from the island to Boston. So, there are so many autoimmune diseases. And then there's so many other diseases that scientists and doctors believe uh, the scientists and doctors believe that all these other diseases that they can't really explain, like Parkinson's disease and many other diseases, that the fact of the matter is the scientists believe that there's some unknown connection between hundreds of diseases like Parkinson's disease, many kinds of mental illness, mood swings, compulsive obsessive disorder, all these psychological, psychiatric disorders, insomnia, and on and on and on. Diseases, psychological, neuropsychiatric, and all these diseases that one would never normally classify as an autoimmune disease genetically related to Lyme disease. But after doing all this experimentation, they have discovered that there are many of the same biochemical processes, the same DNA strands, the same genetic properties that create Lyme disease in one species, and under another species, it's fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome, or one of 100 different immune diseases. And of course, that the people in power in America, same people who supplied you with other diseases, they don't want you to know what they've been up to, because what they've been up to is very dirty. And every time I talk about this, I want you to know the cost that I personally pay. I get bombarded with threats from Google. It's guaranteed I will be taken down from Google and many of the other channels. And why am I being, I want you to listen to me for a minute. Why am I being taken down from all these channels? I'm being taken down from all these channels is because I'm motivated by love, the love of Jesus Christ. And I truly do not want to see you, your loved ones, your grandparents, your parents. I truly do not want to see any of them suffering for the rest of their lives in horrible agony and pain. I don't want to see that. So I am compelled by love, not by profit. I'm compelled by love to stand up and do whatever I can so that people will not be captured by the lies surrounding these so-called immune diseases, and that people will be able to find the right alternative medicine, the right doctors, the right treatments, and become healed of these deadly, unacknowledged diseases. So I'm not pushing a book with this or anything else. My only motive is to speak the truth, to set people free, because I love them with the love of Jesus Christ. The price tag for doing that is I pay a very big financial hit, an oppositional hit, computerized hits that are beyond anything that you could probably conceive of. Stuff as simple as they do everything they can to try to keep people from donating or buying my book products. They do everything they can to try to erect an electronic barrier between me and people who are listening to me. And what is my crime? My crime is shining a small light in the darkness and issuing a word of warning where I'm telling you there's a relationship between these diseases and these biological warfare causes, and making some suggestions of where they can find alternative but credible mental or psychological help. So in our upside down society, I'm treated like a criminal for speaking the truth in love. So I need you to help me and understand that we're in a war. There's not a whole lot of people doing this for free. And I want you to know what I'm doing, but I can't do it without your help. So I'm asking you to pray for me, pray for everybody associated with our family and our ministry, and pray in the name of Jesus. Ask God what you can give financially to change things. And whatever the Lord tells you to give financially, obey him. And I promise you, he will supernaturally bless you for it, either instantly or in a short period of time. And this is how we win the warfare. People have to start doing things. I'm not trying to brag. That's not my purpose. My purpose is to motivate you to get involved, because this is all part of the assault we're under. It has practical ramifications on every level. People get divorced. Why? Because they're both sick in terms of being sickly and tired from autoimmune diseases. People get all these problems that they shouldn't have because we are under, literally, these are not exaggeration words or hype words. We are under an all-out and probably one of the greatest attacks in the history of mankind from every different level. Now, this recent election is not the end. We celebrate the victory. And we celebrate the taking back of the land and God's people praying. We celebrate that. That's a huge victory, and we know that ultimately it came from God. But God didn't call us to like wave the flag of victory and then just go find a cave and go take a nap. We have to persist in unity and persist in wisdom until we take our land back with wisdom and power and strategy, that we take our land back and everything to do with our land, because we have been secretly invaded by a masquerading invader that consists of the super wealthy globalist richest financial families in the world. And they have been infiltrating our nation since the early 1900s. They've been infiltrating our nation and attempting to take it over and attempting to enslave the American people. Yes, it's that brutal and it's that realistic. The name of their game is to enslave the American people. Now, I explain why in my books available to you at a big discount at paulmcguire.us. I can't say everything in a short program, but there are many reasons why they are moving full speed ahead to enslave the American people. And one of the reasons is, and you'll never hear this discussed by the media, they are getting their marching orders from a powerful Luciferian satanic elite that owns all the money and all the power, and this satanic elite is mobilizing and energizing and in control of a literal takeover of planet Earth and a literal takeover of the United States of America. Their game plan, their goal is to attack America with everything it has. Their goal is to smash the family, smash the economy, smash every God-blessed institution in our nation. That's their goal. But they will not be satisfied until they totally dominate and totally control America and every part of America. So you and I have been called before, for such a time as this, and we've been called to take back the land that was stolen from us. So let's get on the job and do what God has called us to do. Okay? And if we do that, we will be more than conquerors in Christ Jesus.